Oh, hey guys, what's up?
Hi, Bubba. What you doing? Is it my boy? My baby boy is in here. Yeah. What would you like to say to everyone today? Thank you. You my co-host today, Bubba? You big old boy? Thank you for your time. That is my co-host today. He doesn't say much. He just kind of hangs out. But that's Bubba, a.k.a. Duke, a.k.a. Mama Boy, a.k.a. my Shooby Booby. How's everyone doing today? Welcome to Mel, aka Baby Girl, where we are unorganized, but a spooky unorganized channel. And I fiddle around because I got ADD, so I have to be doing something. And I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be over here doing my makeup and such, while I talk to you about these videos we've got going on over here. Some crazy shit. Not as bad as a Diddy party, but we're gonna try to have some fun anyways. We don't need to do those things to have any fun in this channel. The crazy shit is with this you guys, is like, everyone thought it was like a conspiracy theory whenever we tried to talk about it before, like when I would bring it up. I even thought it was just a conspiracy theory, but just something to think about, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden all this starts coming out. I'm like, holy shit, all these stars are hiding, or they don't. I mean, it is just nuts. If you watch anything about it, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there are some things that aren't exactly fully true. You know what I'm saying? But today I have this new Soft Glam by e.l.f. and it is the best shit. I love it. I really do love it. I love it. Oh yeah. I love it. First video. Excuse me, lady. You just, you get scared. You go barging in the house, screaming and hollering, but you leave Mr. Fido to fend for himself outside. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, come in. Like, what the fuck, bitch? The dog goes first. I'm saying, I would be so worried if I left Bubba out there, but he's my baby, and I could never. He would be the first one before me in the house. My dog is like my child.
What the fuck? Come here.
Apparition caught on camera in this video. Now, she claims to see it outside. I have a hard time telling, how, if that's a window or not, or whatever, but she says it's outside. She checks, all her cameras, because a lot of my videos I started looking up were, all on, Ring camera, so it's interesting. A little bit scary. I mean, it's a very, very much an apparition, right? But it's just so hard to tell that it's outside. I don't know. If you guys can see the window on it, let me know.
Guys, we caught an apparition. If you look where the finger's pointing right now, an apparition is walking by. It's white. It walked by our window outside. I'm showing you the Ring camera footage not downloaded. It was 9:42 on May 22nd. I zoom in. My cat's going to jump up on the table, and then you're going to see the apparition walk by. 3, 2, there it goes. You saw it walk by again. So I decided that I would go to my front camera to see if it caught anything. The last thing it saw was at 9:27 when I was live. But if you see the arrow, the apparition literally would have had to be walking in the bushes. And if it was a person, like this car going by, our lights would have turned on. So it definitely wasn't a person, because if it catches the car, it definitely would have caught a person. Here's the apparition again walking by. Tell me what you guys think. Thanks.
You can clearly see it once you spot it. At first I was like, where is it? Oh, then I noticed it more towards the camera. Like if you take a look real close, you can see it almost looks like a mist that forms into like a human form. You know what I'm saying? This woman caught this in her garage when she moved to Mississippi. Apparently, a lot of her family members had passed on in the home. So, because of that, she felt like maybe there was some energy going on in there, especially in the garage, because she had kept hearing noises. And she eventually like ran out there like, what is going on? Who's out there? You know what I'm saying? Which after a bit, I suppose you get kind of annoyed with it. I've had some really scary encounters in Mississippi myself when I lived there. I literally made it living there 8 months. I couldn't take any longer. I don't know what it is, but where they moved me though was part of it, because I feel like if we would have moved somewhere like Tupelo or something like that where it was more populated and something I could get used to, but they moved me like in the middle of the woods in a trailer with no sewer. I mean, it was intense. It was very much intense. That's where I told you guys the story about my son hearing the humming or whatever. That's where that was, Mississippi.
Just a moment, I'm going to show you some of the most compelling paranormal footage that I've ever seen. This was sent to me from one of my followers. This video does last a couple of minutes, but I encourage you to watch to the very end when this lady confronts this entity. So I want you guys to keep an eye on this light moving in this lady's garage. Little backstory, they live in Mississippi on an old homestead. She said there's reported graves on the back of the property. Her dad and brother did pass away in this house. I'm actually going to have probably 2 to 3 more videos on this location. She said this didn't start until the past few months when they installed the Ring camera. This light is never visible with a naked eye, and every time they confront this being, it disappears. And if you'll watch to the very end, you will see her come out and try to make contact with this orb type energy and watch its reaction to see that it's intelligent. Again, I want to encourage you guys to send me your footage so I can possibly make a TikTok video on it, but this is some of the most compelling evidence that I've seen. Tell me what you think in the comments, and thanks for watching.
What's out here? Hello? What's out here? Hello? What?
Alien abduction caught on camera. Now, the neighbors across the street had noticed what definitely looks like a UFO above this house, and it looks as if something is going up into the air. Crazy, I know, but it really definitely looks like that's what's taking place. So take a look at this video and tell me what you think about it, honestly, because I don't know.
The following footage comes from a man named Jay out of the state of Texas. And honestly, this is going to be truly up to you to decide on what you're watching. He claims that his Ring camera captured an alien abduction, basically at his neighbor's house, the house directly in front of him. And when he focuses in on the spacecraft, the UFO, it truly does look like a UFO. I don't believe that this is a lens flare or some sort of reflection. It actually looks like a craft over the home. Take a look at this footage and tell me what you think. Did this truly have been an alien abduction captured on Ring?
Go back some. One. Go back a little bit, then zoom in so they can see it. All on the Ring camera detection. Now watch this, the next one. What the hell? Pause it on that. Yo.
He lit up the whole street. Look how big this thing is.
I don't put anything past anybody, you know? This video right here deserves the spooky award of the freaking day, okay? If it's fake, they did a dang old good job. They need to pick up their trousers and hike on over and give me a howdy high five, because that, cream of the crop. Fantastico. Ah, la 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 la. She even loses memory of part of the events that happened in the kitchen there. She even calls out for Siri and she doesn't have an iPhone, okay? And then he says he never even got a voicemail from her, even though she's claiming that she's on the phone and all this jazz, right? So just tell me what you guys think of this video, and then what do you think happened to her? Because obviously she was not supposed to be touching that knife. If you pay attention to the beginning, where it says that her mother-in-law, or it was her mother or her mother-in-law or something like that, had that knife, which I don't understand. Like, if it wasn't supposed to be touched or whatever, then put it the frick away.
Please go away.
You're gonna leave it out so people use it, and then they get this happen to them? What? It doesn't make any sense. Now, this is crazy, and I'm not sure if it's real, but if it is real, please keep yourself safe. Ring cameras are perfect to have, but please still always keep your doors locked and always be mindful of the situations and, be aware. Don't get over paranoid, but make sure that you're still being aware of what's going on, especially around your property and stuff like that. I'd be like, bitch, you can come in, but I got a nice piece of steel y'all can check out. I'm just saying. It is real shiny when you clean it up good. Literally, this man's drone catches a ghost that's like sitting down and then goes to stand up. Sure, it's a ghost because it's extremely translucent. It doesn't even like, it doesn't look solid whatsoever. And it's like, it's so good to get the perfect video or whatever of an entity or ghost, because you can easily get it with like a drone or a ring camera or something, because it's unexpected. You are not pressuring anything out of that at that point, you know. So it just kind of happens naturally, which is awesome. And you get the best footage that way, I believe. So we have a spirit here in my apartment at this time. And I sort of coexist with him, because that's just like, I'm not going to kick him out of where he's been dwelling. When he's ready to pass over, I can help it. And he knows. You know, but sometimes he likes to get a little naughty, I guess you would say, and do things just to annoy me and my fiance. Like knock things off the counters or make pictures come crashing down. Whatever, you know. I got these really, really nice eyeshadows. It's Wet n Wild. I'm so excited to use them. But they're all glittery. I don't know if you can see it. I really like them. And then I also got this Halo Glow liquid filter from e.l.f. and it works really great. I'm sorry to be sitting here talking about makeup.
Arkansas to investigate the legend of the ghost mother. In the early 1900s, a young mother had a baby who disappeared near the cemetery. She searched for several days and nights and was found dead in its midst. It's rumored that her ghost still wanders the cemetery in search of her baby. Rusty visited the night before he filmed and heard some eerie sounds of crying and moaning. He was too scared to leave the truck, so he returned later with his drone to film from the air. This is what he found. Did you see it? If you look carefully, you should be able to make out what appears to be some kind of a ghost apparition, crouching down beside this tombstone, staring at the camera ominously before it eventually decides to stand up and move away from the camera's line of sight. Is this an elaborate hoax, or even creepier, some weirdo lurking in the cemetery alone at night? Not sure what's worse. What do you think? Until next time.
I'm finding so many ring camera and drone, like I said before, drone pictures or drone videos and stuff like that on here. It's crazy. But people are really catching stuff on their ring cameras because they're, like I said, just caught off guard. You know what I mean? It's like they want to wait for only one person to be home or nobody at all and then start causing chaos. But little do they know, we are watching them.
Over 8 months ago, I was on the Confessionals podcast. Traveled to Tennessee to be on that podcast. And right after I left, our security camera caught this in the side yard. So the camera would have been positioned here with this window shut. And somewhere in this general vicinity, obviously the fire pit wasn't there originally, but somewhere in this general vicinity, it looks like something walks right through this direction. Here's some footage at night. I've been waiting for like a couple minutes. No cars have driven by, but I don't think it would reflect in the thing anyway. And the lights are different now than they were a year ago. So I am baffled because I have no idea what this possibly could be. I don't think it's a person, obviously. I don't think it's an animal. My guess is some sort of apparition of some sort. Looks like legs to me. But what do you guys think? Comments down below.
On the dark side of the moon, 83, on TikTok, received a notification on her Ring cam, right? So, of course, she checks the cameras to see what's going on. It was the middle of the night at that. It's like kind of cool though, because at least with the Ring camera, you don't have to put yourself in danger when you're like going to check the door. You know what I'm saying? In the middle of the night when someone is ringing. Plus, it would piss me off royally if somebody was ringing my bell at some 3 o'clock in the dang morning. Now she checks her footage though, and she sees a very misty white apparition kind of just gliding away down the driveway. Interesting.
The TikTok account Dark Side of the Moon 83 is run by a woman who caught something incredibly chilling on camera. Late one night, she received a notification from her Ring camera that a person was outside of her home. But when she took a look at the footage, this is what she saw. A white, misty figure was caught floating down her driveway. This creepy apparition had a mysterious shape and was clearly not a person or animal. So what exactly could this have been?
At a European castle, they ended up seeing an apparition inside one of like the little pillars on the side of the castle. But look at this castle. It is absolutely beautiful to me. I love it. I love like medieval looking, Victorian style looking houses even. I love that look. And then this castle is just absolutely gorgeous to me. Like, to some people, I suppose, it's like, ew, it looks so old. But to me, I just think that's so pretty. Let me know in the comments below if you think that Diddy is going to tell on anyone during this, I guess, awakening for him. Oh, so if he's going to sing like a bird, sing like a bird, sing like a bird. I'm going to stop singing. This ghostly apparition even freaked out the bull on the road there. Now, I don't know, it looks weird like the bull is standing in the middle of the road. I don't know if that's part of where they're supposed to be or not. Because you do see like a fence there, but you see the apparition, it looks like someone is riding a horse. Or actually, it looks kind of like a donkey or something like that. Riding away from the bull, and he's like watching it as it goes. Like, lights flickering is an indicator of an evil entity or like even a demon possession within the home. They want to get you riled up. They want to see what you'll do. They want to see how far they can push you, you know what I mean? So they'll make your electronics flicker. They'll make your lights flicker, things like that. I mean, they'll try whatever it takes. If someone is vulnerable too, they will take advantage immediately. So just make sure if you're seeing any of that kind of stuff and you know that someone's in the home that's got something that's making them pretty vulnerable, you might want to get them out of the home and, you know, start working on cleaning it up and doing cleansing and, you know, getting the evil out of the home the best way that you can. And sometimes that stuff doesn't even work, you know. So you have to be really, really careful.
What is that? Who are you? I'm not gonna hurt you. leave my lights alone. No.
Just got home from work and my shed light is on. Sorry, I'm spinning the yard just to make sure nobody else is out here. I spoke to my neighbor after that last video, and he said his junior high boys have been playing pranks on people, so I think it's them. But they don't really have anywhere to go, so I'm gonna bust in here and try and catch them. I don't know what they're doing. Hey! 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 Hey!
It seems that demons are not the only thing that roams the earth, and this is a heartwarming little video of a glowing hand grabbing this sickly woman as she's resting in her hospital bed. And, you know, it's just nice to think that maybe that's her guardian angel or spirit guides or something like that, or even a family member that passed on that is giving her comfort while she's ill, which is so sweet to see. And it's just, this was more of like an awe type of video rather than scary. You gotta mix it up a little bit, you know. You can't just be spooky, because people know what to expect. Then on my channel, I want to leave you sitting there with, you know, you're about to shit your pants, but then you cry a little. You know.
This next video shows a woman who appears to be very sick. The person recording claims that she might be on her deathbed. If that's so, then this video just got a whole lot interesting. A friend or relative is watching the woman on the monitor when they notice something odd about the footage. Upon looking closely, they see the following.
What the f is that? It's like something touching her. What the hell is that?
What looks to be an arm reaching out to the woman on her supposed deathbed can be seen on camera. It reaches out as though whatever this is trying to comfort the sick woman. Some viewers have theorized that this might be the ghost of a loved one who is still looking after their partner from beyond the grave. Although pretty wholesome, it is solely a belief. Yet most viewers can't help but think this. But of course, what do you think? Had the ghost of a loved one paid a visit to this woman? Or is there a possible explanation for the ghostly arm? Feel free to let me know what you think down below.
This could very well be fake at the end, but when he opens the door, I see a very wispy white apparition like go across the room. But then, like, when he points out what he wants you to see, it's almost like, okay, I think that apparition is fabricated, to be honest, because it just looks like something that you'd get off an editing app or whatever. I might be wrong. Don't come for me if this is real, but I don't see that. But what I did see was like a white apparition go from one edge of the room to the other across the door, but they don't even mention that. So it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe they didn't see it, maybe, I don't know, but I certainly did see it, and I think it's something. So there. Baba, you wait for your mama.
This video, a family member was visiting and saw his house being built or renovated. While recording with his cell phone, he also saw room after room, but unknowingly the camera found a figure that was suspected of being an apparition. You can see, when he records a room in the house, at the door of that room, there is a white figure with long hair passing through the door. A figure very much like the ghost of a woman with long hair that is scary. But if you have other opinions, please comment below this video.
This one had me on my toes. Now, it's body cam footage of an officer going through this home to clear it out, to see if anybody's there, right? And he sees like an apparition go, like turn the corner of the room, you know what I'm saying? And it was after he was calling out, make yourself known, blah, 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 blah. He turns around, he sees that. And then he's like, okay, goes into the next room to try to see who it is. And then there's nobody there, but then he turns around and he sees an apparition. And he's like, put your hands behind your back, show me your hands, whatever he said. But yeah, it was very creepy. And to see that it's body cam footage, it's like, okay, well, it can't be fabricated, right?
At this time, holding a call for help at 700 Grand Concourse, 7 of a residence, 10 Sheridan, 39 Brent, 5 Walton, 52-2 41 Nelson, totally group, 71 Sherman, 52-294 Gerard, 24 female at 16 Grand Concourse, and a 52 copy for claim.
Police department, anybody in here? Show your hands. Make yourself known. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Right now! Trinidad King 1, did you copy that?
And I just thought this still photo here in Thailand was very, very cool. Clearly 2 apparitions that give me a really off, eerie kind of vibe, right? So I thought they'd be perfect to put on the channel. This is a very spooky story told very, very well. I was definitely sucked in listening to this story. What a great gig it started out to be, too. Then that damn intercom kept beeping in her ear, and it was even scaring the shit out of me when it would go off. But, I mean, the turn of events that happens in this video, please watch. It is great. It is definitely something that you always want to make sure you're aware of before you jump to conclusions and think it's one way. Always remember to keep your mind open that it could always be something you're not thinking about, okay? Because like I always say, people are a lot scarier than anything you're ever going to find on the other side, okay?
So this happened when I was 20 years old. I'm 22 now, so it's not that long ago. While in college, I was a babysitter during the week for a family, and sometimes I would nanny for this other, wealthier family on the weekends. They would go away often on the weekends and leave their 2 kids, so I would stay at the house for the weekend with the kids. They had a whole dedicated guest bedroom just for me, and the family was super nice, so it was honestly great while it lasted. It happened in the fall. The leaves were all falling and it was chilly outside. I had gotten to the house Friday, and Friday night went completely fine. I just played with the 2 kids, who I'll nickname James and Jessica. James was 7, Jessica was 5. They were both cute and well behaved. Their bedtimes were 7:30 for Jessica and 8:30 for James. During the day I'd play with each of them with their toys. The family had 2 dedicated rooms for their toys, one for Jess, one for James. Jessica loved her dolls and dollhouses. I spent a lot of time playing with her. James loved playing his video games, so I'd watch him play. These kids really had everything, and the house was gorgeous. It was a giant property with a big pond in the middle. It had a separate 3-car garage, and then a pool with a pool house across the pond, which was also a bar and rec room, with a pool table and darts, arcade games, and a giant TV and multiple sofas. This family was so well off and over the top that they even had an intercom that connected from the pool house to the actual house, so that if you press a button on the wall in either place, it would ring and then you could talk through it. The pool house also had a giant window that overlooked the pond and had a view of the house. So after the kids went to bed, I was free to do as I pleased for the night. It was great. I wasn't supposed to have friends over though. That was a rule I respected. I would just FaceTime my friends and watch movies in the pool house to pass the time. It was not a bad place to have free time in, I'll tell you that. I started getting hungry, so I walked back across the property to the house, entered the code to let myself in, and went to the kitchen. They had so many snacks and food that I was allowed to help myself to. I grabbed a frozen snack from the freezer and threw it in the microwave. And when I was done, I went back across the property to the pool house. I liked hanging out in there more because I could be louder on the phone and have the TV as loud as I want without waking the kids. I was on the couch eating, watching the movie White Chicks, while texting a bunch of my friends. I was just in the middle of telling my friends how great of a gig this was, when the intercom beeper gave me a heart attack. I went to go press the answer button, and I heard Jessica's voice on the other end, saying she's scared because she keeps hearing noises. Usually she'd sleep through the night, so I'd have to go tuck her back in. I set my food down and ran back across the yard to the house. I entered through the door with the code lock again and went to Jess's room. She must have ran straight back to her bed after we got off the intercom, because she was already back in her bed all scared. I went to tickle her and tuck her in just so she wouldn't be scared anymore. When she felt better, I left her room, shut the door, and walked down the hall back to the kitchen to grab some wine. As I was looking for a wine opener, I heard the ever so lightest crack in the wood floor from another room. I froze and looked in that direction, instinctively waiting for a second sound. I didn't want to start freaking myself out now. I didn't want Jessica saying she's hearing noises to get in my head. I was thinking it was a regular house settling noise. I admit I was a little creeped out now, but I left the lights and TV on in the pool house, so I had to go back. I went outside, locked the door with the code, and ran across to the pool house. I sat back down on the couch and resumed eating the rest of my food. I didn't end up bringing the wine. I still had White Chicks on, though I was mostly just getting distracted on my phone. Then that damn intercom went off again, making me jump in my seat. I hurried to answer it, and when I did, there was silence on the other end. "Jessica," I said into the mic. I thought for sure I heard someone breathing, but that's all I could hear. I said both Jessica and James' names at least 3 times each. Now I was actually starting to become terrified. I called my friend Kelsey and told her I want her to come here because I'm actually getting really scared. I told her that the little girl I'm watching said that she was hearing noises, and then I heard a noise, and now someone pressed the intercom button but didn't say anything. I felt like it was not something one of the kids would do. I was still on the phone with Kelsey, who was telling me to stop being paranoid, but she also sounded drunk. I was looking out the window to the house the whole time I was on the phone with her. The hallway lights turned on. I told Kelsey this, and any ounce of possibility that it was one of the kids disappeared when a large figure stepped into frame at one of the hallway windows. I screamed and dropped the phone as I was looking at a grown man who seemed to see me, and he was looking back at me. I realized the intercom was still on this entire time. I picked up my phone, hung up on Kelsey, and called 911. And as I did, I was crying, screaming into the intercom that I'm calling 911 right now, leave us alone. I was basically screaming everything I said to the police into the intercom. I went back to the window, and he wasn't at the window in the house anymore. I was hysterical, crying, begging the 911 operator to please hurry up. She kept telling me to calm down, asking me a million questions. I kept yelling the address into the phone and saying please hurry. When she asked are the kids safe, I screamed no. They're in the house still with that man. And that's when I heard the scream of Jessica through the intercom, and I completely broke down and fell to my knees crying as the 911 operator was still trying to get me to keep it together, but I couldn't. I said I don't know what to do, and she said the police are almost there, you need to wait. I replied he has the kids, and she asked if I saw if the man had any weapons. I said I couldn't tell, but then I heard Jessica's voice speaking into the intercom saying my name. I went over and shouted, "Yes, I'm here. Get your brother and get out of the house." She was crying, saying that there was a man in here. I said, "Yes, I know. Just get your brother and come outside now." It was the bravest thing I had ever done, running outside back across the yard to the house and meeting the 2 kids who were already at the door. I grabbed both of them and led them back across the yard to the pool house again, where we hid with the lights off. Both of them were crying, and I still wanted to as well, but I had to be strong and keep it together for them. I still was on the phone with 911, and she eventually told me that the police are here, and that they'll come meet us at the pool house. Those words were the most comforting words I'd heard in my life. The flashlights of the police shone through the windows. I led the kids to the door, where we met a couple police officers. The female cop took the kids with her to one car. I went with another cop to another car. There were already 3 cop cars in the front of the house, and more kept showing up. I was answering all the questions I was asked, and then they found him. They brought out a guy who looked to be right around 6 foot. He looked at everyone as he was brought out in handcuffs and put in the back of a car. I still remember his face as he looked at me. He looked like the product of incest. His face was messed up. Jessica and James' parents were called right away and made aware of the situation. There was no way any of us were staying there that night. The parents arranged for the kids' aunt to come pick them up to stay with her, and I guess she called out of work the next day. I went home after they didn't need me anymore, but when I got home that night, I didn't sleep. I was still in shock, I think. I still had a leftover adrenaline rush. The parents understandably didn't leave their kids alone for a long time after that, I'm sure. I do know they pressed charges to the fullest extent, and with their resources, I hope that creep got what he deserved and more. I respectfully told them I couldn't stay there anymore because I was haunted by that night. I could only imagine how scarred those poor kids were, and maybe still are.
The baby. Okay, I am usually not scared of... I'm not scared like she mentions, you know. I also think it's awesome that if she translates Spanish spooky stories into English, that's kind of cool because I feel like the Spanish stories are a lot creepier and scarier than our stories. Like the La Llorona, that story creeps me out. That's a good ghost story. But anyways, this story is wild though. Finding the remains of a baby and then just being like, oh, whatever. You're not calling anybody about it. And then you start seeing this baby. Oh my God. Girl. I can't. Tell me what you think about this video.
Do not listen to this scary story at nighttime or right before you're going to bed. Because I love you so much, I'm giving you this warning because what the fuck? So typically I listen to a lot of Spanish scary stories because I like translating them for you guys. I typically listen to these when my husband's asleep next to me and I'm just like scrolling story through story, right? I will say when I listened to this story, I got full body chills, right? But I was like, okay, cool, I'm saving this. This is gonna be a good ass story, and I just kept going. A lot of the times you guys ask me in my comments like, how do you sleep after reading all these stories? And I'm gonna be honest, I sleep perfectly well. Like typically I'm not scared, and I wasn't scared last night, which is why it's so weird that I had a dream about this fucking story. I guess this story really impacted me more than I thought. So I'm gonna translate the story for you guys, and then I'm gonna tell you the dream that I had at the very end. So there was this girl, she was around 15 or 16 years old, and she lived with her mom. Unfortunately, her mom lost her job and they had no money, so they ended up losing their house as well. So one of the mom's family members tells them that they have a house that they can live in because they didn't want them to be homeless, but unfortunately this house was like away from civilization. This house was in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by like hills and mountains, but since the mom and daughter had nowhere else to go, they accepted the offer and decided to go live in this house. They end up going to the house, and when they get there, they notice the strangest thing ever. Right in front of the door is this big ass tree. Like, the tree was so big that when they would try to open the front door, it would be hitting that tree. So the mom thought it was really strange that the tree would be like right in front of the front door. So the people who actually gave him a ride to that house noticed the tree as well, and they told the mom that if she wanted to, they can also help her remove that tree so that it doesn't stop the front door from opening. And she agreed, so they decided to do it then and there. When they removed that tree, on the roots of like where the tree was growing, they see like a skeleton of a baby. The mom says that it looked like maybe someone had buried the baby a very long time ago because the bones of the baby's skeleton were just being eaten by the roots of that tree. She said that they didn't end up telling anybody about it. She just, had the tree removed, they saw that, and they just like moved on with their lives. Time passes, and in this house, it's a 2-bedroom home. It's a little small, but it does have a hallway that leads to both of the rooms. Both the mom and the daughter start hearing noises in the hallway, and they realize that it sounds like a little baby. She even said it doesn't sound like an animal, it didn't sound like a kid, there was no like steps walking, it sounded like a baby playing in the hallway. So the mom almost felt guilty because she felt like something had happened there. I mean, they found the baby bones, and she just felt really bad that maybe the baby ghost was there. So she started leaving out baby toys in the hallway. I already have chills. So after leaving the toys in the hallway, the mom says that they would then start hearing this baby playing with those specific toys that were left out for it. She mentions that nothing scary would happen, but she did feel that over time, the baby's energy was growing and growing. So one day, the mom and daughter get into a really big fight. And I mean, they were screaming at each other, like they were going at it, and the daughter ends up going to her room and like slamming the door, and mom also goes to her room and slams the door. So when the mom goes into her room, slams the door, and sits alone, she realizes that maybe she was a little tough on her daughter. Mom felt so bad and so guilty that she's like, I'm gonna go to her room and I'm gonna, apologize, and let's try to talk through it. So the mom goes and she knocks on her daughter's door, and of course the daughter didn't answer because she was pissed. After the daughter not answering her door, the mom still decided to open the door, and she starts off with, look, I really need to talk to you. And then she stays silent. The daughter was laying on her bed and she was like, what? That's when the mom was like, get up and come with me. And the daughter's like, what? And the mom's like, get up and come with me. The daughter's like, I thought you wanted to talk to me. And she goes, shut up, get up and come with me. So once the daughter realizes that something is going on because the mom was really seriously telling her to get up, she gets up. Her mom grabs her by the hand, they leave her bedroom, close her bedroom door, and the mom takes her back to her own room. So the mom explains that when she opened her daughter's door and told her, I need to talk to you, she looks at her daughter that's laying on the bed, and she sees a baby on top of her daughter's chest. She says that the baby was not a normal baby. When the mom was telling her daughter, get up and come with me, that baby would hold on to her daughter even tighter, looking at the mom and smiling at her. Oh my god, look at my heart. I think the reason why I imagine these stories in my head, so I'm seeing this shit like a movie in my brain. Can you imagine? She walked in there feeling so guilty that she got into a fight with her mom, tries to talk to her, and fucking sees a baby on her daughter's chest. As she's telling her, get up and let's go, baby hugs her daughter tighter while looking at her smiling. They left that house that night and never looked back, didn't go back to investigate, didn't want to know what the fuck happened there, because at that point it wasn't just a little innocent baby ghost, because she saw a baby, but it was not a normal looking baby. Now for my dream. So in my dream, I'm laying in bed. Leave it to me to take naps in my dream too. And next to me is one of my exes because my dream wasn't scary enough. And in my dream, I'm waking up because I'm feeling something crawling up my body. And when this thing finally gets to the very top, I see a scary looking baby with fucking crazy teeth. And you know how like in your dreams you can't fight? It's like it's slow motion. Well, as soon as I saw that face, my hand was like trying to push it away. I mean, the baby was like biting my hand. And I was like, what do I do? Because I'm moving so slowly. I was pushing that baby towards my ex who was still asleep because what the fuck? Take him, not me. But this baby wouldn't give up. It kept trying to come at me, and to the point where I'm slowly moving my fucking head away. It doesn't sound as scary, but like it was fucked up in my dream, okay? So the baby's still crawling, and once it's like face to face to me, I guess I got so spooked that I woke myself up. All it had to do was go to my ex, like, why the fuck would you want me? But no, I got really scared. I woke up and I was like, what the fuck was I dreaming about right now? Anyway, I hope you don't have dreams about this story.
Ghost stories are so great this time of year, and that's why I decided to put a couple in at the very end of this video, because I definitely got sucked into these stories, and I know you will too. They're very good, and I just like to sit and listen, you know what I'm saying? That's why you wanted me to make these videos longer, and I thought, what the hell, you guys probably leave this on and go do something else, or maybe I have a calming enough voice that puts you to sleep. Either way, I don't care. I just am glad you're here and watching. But this one is a good ghost story. She hears shuffling. Now, have you ever been sitting there at home alone, or even like while everybody's asleep or whatever, and you hear some footsteps or shuffling or whatever? Well, she was actually really hearing this. She just couldn't put her finger on what it was. And then she figured out the whole basket situation. But just watch the video and let me know what your thoughts are on this whole entire thing.
In the late fall of 1952, 20 school children, ranging from 8 to 13 years old, were on their way back from an evening field trip to the Smoot Theater, but their bus driver, Miss Bernadette Shaw, took a wrong turn on the way home. In her attempt to find a shortcut back to their school in Clarksburg, where dozens of parents were waiting for her to return, Miss Shaw ended up on the deserted back roads of West Virginia with a bus full of sleepy children. Using the moonlight to guide her, Miss Shaw turned onto a shabby road that barely saw any activity. The road twisted so tightly around hairpin curves that it was far too narrow for her to turn the bus around and head back to the main road. She had no choice but to keep going. She'd been driving aimlessly for hours and was so distracted trying to find a way back that she didn't realize the gas gauge was well below E. Almost immediately, the engine started to cough and sputter as it gasped for fuel. The bus came to a rolling stop on top of a set of abandoned railroad tracks. As she turned around to tell the children not to panic, they were already fast asleep, exhausted from the day's journey. It was well past their bedtimes, and the dark, deserted route offered little more than trees in the way of scenery. She had two choices. She could wake the children and have them walk with her to the nearest gas station, or she could leave them on the bus while she walked by herself. There would likely be an attendant at the gas station whom she hoped could give her a ride back to the bus. If so, she would only be gone for 30 minutes, an hour at the most, and she only had one flashlight, which wasn't nearly bright enough to lead 20 children on a winding miles-long hike in the dark. So she decided that the children would be safer on the bus. There was no telling what type of debris could be lying on the road, and if a group of kids decided to wander off along the path, she wouldn't be able to see them sneak away. It was best if she just went by herself. Grabbing the metal flashlight from under the driver's seat, she stepped onto the weary, rotting tracks, locked the bus door behind her, and began to walk. She picked up her pace, almost to a jog, hoping that she could get back before any of the children woke up. 10 minutes went by, and she knew she had to be getting closer to town. The crisp night air was so silent that she could have heard a person coming from miles away. But it wasn't a person that startled her. Quickly, she looked behind her. The railroad crossing, where the bus sat lifelessly, was perched upon a plateau stretching as far as she could see. At first, the approaching light was just a speck on the horizon. But as it grew bigger, the persistent sounds of a chugging engine made her drop the flashlight and take off running back to the bus. Chug, 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 echoed through the still air. The closer the train got, the faster she ran. Her heart pounded as it jumped into her throat. She screamed for the train to stop, but her cries were overpowered by the haunting, hollow whistle of the locomotive. Her knees ached as her feet hit the ground harder with each step. She shouted, "Stop! Please stop!" Her arms flailed in the dark night. Her eyes soiled with tears. "Stop!" she cried. "God, no! Please stop!" No longer lost in peaceful slumber, the children's tiny silhouettes could be seen banging on the windows of the bus, trying frantically to get out. The train's brakes tightened around its wheels, sparks dancing alongside them. The children continued to pound on the glass as they screamed for help. "Stop!" Miss Shaw cried again, but her tear-soaked plea was no match for the sickening sound of metal colliding with metal. The train crashed into the bus, splitting it in two like a pencil cracked in half. Shrapnel-like shards flew through the air, piercing the ground as they landed. The front half of the bus rolled onto its side, then onto its top, then on its other side. It swayed back and forth as the thud of metal hitting pavement echoed in the air all around. Miss Shaw fell to her knees when she saw the children's bodies hurled from the vehicle. The windows of the bus had shattered, and the children's limbs had been ripped off by the sheer force of the train's blow. Blood began to splatter onto the broken windows, as if someone had started a blender and forgot to put the lid on. As the train continued to blaze by, Miss Shaw could see the other half of the school bus between the gaps of each car as they passed. The back half of the bus was flat on its side, its steel walls frayed open like the mouth of a jagged abyss. The children's bodies were heaped into a tangled mess over the bus's green padded seats, which were now drenched in pools of blood. She let out a gut-wrenching scream and quickly got to her feet. She ran to the front of the bus and began picking up the miscellaneous limbs strewn about the tracks. Carrying a pair of mismatched arms, she approached the beat-up torso of a third-grade boy and placed one on top of him, not really knowing whether it was his. Miss Shaw, so engrossed in her task of trying to return the limbs to their rightful owners, didn't notice that the train had finally stopped. She shrieked when she saw the conductor walk up behind her. His body, white with shock, trembled as he surveyed the scene. I tried, he mumbled to Miss Shaw. I tried to stop, he repeated as he cupped his hand over his mouth, trying to contain the bile brewing in the back of his throat. Oh, God. Why? He wept at the sight of the shredded children. Why were you on the tracks? Before Miss Shaw could respond, her grief-stricken eyes rolled back into her head, and her legs gave out. The conductor caught her as she fell against him, and he dragged her body to the nearby grass. When she finally came to, police had arrived on the scene. She slowly sat up and looked toward the bus, its two halves separated by 50 feet of blood-stained roadway. She was taken to a nearby hospital and, at the behest of the heartbroken parents, was arrested on the spot for involuntary manslaughter. Decades went by before anyone in town would drive up that road again. In the late fall of 1977, two lust-fueled teenagers in Harrisville, West Virginia, decided to find a secluded spot to spend the evening. It was close to midnight, and the young man parked his Thunderbird near the entrance of North Bend State Park, leaving the engine running as he and his date succumbed to their desires. Without warning, the car slowly started moving backwards, but the couple, so engrossed in their activities, didn't realize it right away. When they took a momentary recess, the young man glanced out the window and noticed that they were mysteriously stopped on top of a set of old railroad tracks. The young woman shrieked when she heard a whistle in the distance, but the boy couldn't get the car into gear. They desperately tried to open the doors, but the locks were stuck. They pounded against the windows as the rapidly approaching train blared its horn. The rumbling of the train on the tracks vibrated through the vehicle. The glass rumbled as the couple continued banging on the window. As they scrambled to find a way out, the couple felt the car inch forward. The young man looked around, but didn't see anything by the car except the oncoming train. The car crept another inch forward, and then another inch. It rolled forward until the train zoomed past the car, missing its back bumper by less than a foot. The force of the speeding train rocked the car back and forth. The car's axle creaked with each sway. When the train finally disappeared into the horizon, the young man, shocked and shaken, was able to get the car into gear and drove his date back to town. The next day, the boy took his car to a mechanic to check the transmission. The car was covered in dust from traveling down the deserted road the night before. The boy told the mechanic about the car inexplicably going into reverse, and the mechanic remarked that the same thing had happened to several Ford cars recently. The boy then confessed to the mechanic that he'd been stuck on the abandoned railroad tracks near North Bend State Park, and as the train was approaching, he had experienced an odd sensation that the car might have been pushed off the tracks from behind. As the boy continued to tell the story, the mechanic's eyes filled with tears. "My son died on those tracks 25 years ago," the mechanic said. "He was in a school bus that was left on the tracks by the driver." And as the mechanic walked to the back of the boy's car, both his feet and heart stopped when he saw dozens of child-sized handprints covering the edge of the car's trunk. The Last Train to Clarksburg by Michelle Hansen.
And then we got a bonus video. We got a bonus video for you. Madonna, all of you, back off. Back off. I am coming in. The music business taking over because we got people like Diddy's in there, and we don't need that. We need bonus video. We got a bonus. Okay. This is another great ghost story. She did absolutely wonderful visuals to go along with it, so it keeps you intrigued and everything, and you can actually see a couple of real things that she did put in there from what her situation was, which was really, really cool, I thought. But please tell your ghost stories below in the comments if you would. I love reading ghost stories and things like that, so let me know if you've experienced any crazy ghost stories and you want to tell me all about it. I would love to hear it.
I don't know if y'all have been seeing this creator's video on your For You page, but she's all over mine. She made a video saying, "Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true. If you know me, you know I have a lot of those and I come with receipts." So my mom, my dad, my sister, and her newborn baby had just moved to this small town in the Midwest called Liberty, Missouri. Now this town is very old. It has a lot of history. The house that we bought and we moved into, I don't think was haunted, but I think it was more so the land itself that was haunted. To kind of give y'all an idea of just how old this town was and how much history it has, this building that's behind me is called the Oddfellows home. This building was built, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in 1893. So very, very old. It's been a hospital for the mentally ill, the physically ill. I think at one point it was an orphanage. So this town has been around for a while. For the entirety of my mom's life, she's always had a lot of supernatural experiences. She's been very intuitive. So right when we moved in, she kind of sensed that there was some sort of entity or spirit, and we always thought it was kind of a childlike spirit just because it was more so playful, and it just played a lot of pranks. It never really threatened us or our safety or anything. Now, as mentioned before, it was my dad, my mom, my sister, and her newborn baby living in this house, and the most activity happened in this room, which was the baby's nursery room. The doors in this room would always open and close by themselves. My niece would wake up in the middle of the night or really early in the morning, around 3 or 4. She would stand up in her crib looking out over the room, yelling into space, yelling no, yelling stay back. I'll show those videos in a second. I would say the creepiest part about this room was that in this closet, which the door never stayed shut in this room, in this closet there's a little crawl space that was kind of locked in. Here's a better picture of the door. You can actually see in this photo that this door is cracked open, and that's how it always stayed. No matter how many times you shut it, that door would always open back up. Now, this bedroom was actually a Jack and Jill bedroom, so there was a bathroom connecting these two bedrooms that were right next to each other, and this bathroom is probably where the most creepy thing ever happened. My sister got out of the shower and saw this on the mirror. Now, mind you, she was the only person in the house. My dad was visiting family in Iowa. My mom was on a work trip. I was down here in Texas with my husband. And at this point, she had been alone in the house, just her and her newborn for a week. This was the last day of the week that she was alone. And she takes a shower and she gets out of the shower and she sees this on the mirror. Mind you, we have lived in the house for like a year at this point. We've taken so many showers. That mirror has fogged up so many times. Never ever has a message been written on this mirror. Now, this is kind of where we were validated in the fact that we thought this was a childlike spirit. Not only did it play pranks and kind of mess with us like that, but we think that this spells out Anna Bo Anna. And then there's 3 little stars. You can't really see that one, but there's 3 little stars underneath it. And this just really confirms that, like, we were right in assuming that this might be a kid. As mentioned previously, my niece would, in the middle of the night, stand up in her crib and look out over the room and yell things like no and stay back. And I will show you guys that right now. Another thing that would happen a lot in that nursery was we would see a lot of orbs. And I know orbs are controversial, okay? A lot of people are like, oh, they're bugs, or oh, it's dust, or oh, it's just light from the camera and reflections and refractions or whatever. But just like the way that these were moving, like they had to be orbs. They had to be orbs. And I'll show you that now. The last video that I'll show you is me walking in the bedroom. As I mentioned previously, doors would open and shut by themselves all the time. Now, I understand when you walk through like a doorway, sometimes the door will close behind you because of the wind, but usually it needs momentum for the door to completely latch. The video I'm about to show you, I walked through the doorway at a normal speed, like I'm not running through the doorway, and you can see it slowly shut and the door completely latches. No way that door completely latches with as slow as it was going. Watch. Completely latched. So to wrap up the video, I'll tell 2 more stories. I don't have any videos or pictures from these, but I'm pretty sure y'all can take my word for it. I'm obviously not lying here. My first ever encounter with this spirit entity, whatever it was when we had just moved in. It was late 2019. I was just diagnosed with ovarian cancer, so I actually just had a pretty big surgery, and I was on some pretty hefty pain pills. I was on hydrocodone, so initially I thought I was just seeing things. But I'm upstairs, I'm in the Jack and Jill bedrooms. The bedroom that I'm in, the light is off. The bathroom that is connected to the bedroom, that light is on. So I wake up and I look in the doorframe of the bathroom and I see a figure. And it's nobody in my family. It doesn't look like anybody in my family. I see the figure, I get up and leave the room. Like, I don't stare at it, I don't interact with it, I just get up and I leave. I go downstairs. All my family is downstairs. Nobody was up there. And then lastly, probably the craziest thing. So it was just my mom, my sister, and the newborn. It was around the winter time and it was about to be a big snowstorm. So my mom and my sister left the house to go run a bunch of errands before all the roads closed. They get back home with all the groceries and they take out the groceries in the car and they take all the bags and place them on the counter. Now, mind you, no food is put away, no groceries are put away. They just simply put the bags full of food on the counters and they quickly realize that they forgot something. So they leave, they come back with the thing they forgot. When they walk in the front door, they see all of the food, all of the groceries that they brought in and kept in the bags are out of the bags, just haphazardly placed around the kitchen in like the most random spots. And probably the weirdest, like tiniest creepy detail of the whole story is the twist ties on like loaves of bread that was taken off of the bread and it was placed on the edge of the counter, sitting up just like a little person with its like little legs crossed. So those are probably like the craziest stories that I have from that house. Like I said before, if you know me, if I know you, you've probably heard these stories because I literally tell them every chance I get.
I am so glad you guys sat with me in this video today, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Spooky season is upon us, so I'm going to be having spookier and spookier content as time goes on. I'm trying to figure out something cool to do for the Halloween season, so I'll keep you posted on that. Maybe give away a gift card or something like that, but I will talk to you guys later. Sorry it took so long for my last post, but this one is coming out hot, and it's coming out soon. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Have a great time.